Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay. Rise and shine, it's your time. Skill up, raise the climb. Navigate, innovate. It's your fate, don't be late. Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay.
If you're a new manager or hoping to be a new manager, join us in our exploration into what managers need to know. This program will set you up for success by building your knowledge and confidence in the skills you need to be effective. Hello, and welcome to What Managers Need to Know. And we are looking at our fifth session on motivational skills. A little bit about me. I taught for the Executive Management Institute and the Small Business Development Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Business for 30 years. And I've been a workplace learning and performance improvement consultant with my own business for 38 years. On the first session, we looked at your needs, because if you are not highly motivated, it's very hard for you to create a motivational environment for your employees. We then, in the second session, looked at primary motivators that motivate 99% of employees. We then moved to motivational tools in our third session, looking at the first 4 of 7 motivational activities that you can do so that you can create a motivational atmosphere for your employees, because employees motivate themselves. That's an intrinsic motivation. We don't want people there just because of a carrot or a stick, because when the carrot or the stick are withdrawn, then there's no movement. We want them self-directed. And in our fourth session, we looked at the last 3 of the 7 motivational activities that you can use as a manager to create a motivational environment. So we're now going to look at how to make an employee feel like somebody. The first is to accept that each employee has some innate need for achievement. We want to feel that what we're doing is worthwhile and is meaningful. So we create a climate for achievement, emphasizing individual responsibility. So employees need to know that someone expects them to achieve. We rise to expectations. We want to acknowledge that every employee needs recognition. Being somebody is a fundamental, universal, and pervasive human need. Just because you have a high performer who is very self-directed doesn't mean that they don't appreciate being recognized. I was one of those high performers, and I was never recognized, and I ultimately left the organization, which I like to believe was to their loss. Want to clarify your thinking, needs, and goals before giving assignments so that you can clearly articulate your expectations. In our very first session of What Managers Need to Know, we looked at delegation and what's involved in delegation. And if we're not clear about what it is we expect an employee to do, and we don't explain why it's important, it's very difficult for them to be effective. Assist employees to set their own goals in a way that is compatible with company goals. This means that you're sitting down with an employee and you're discussing what their needs and interests are. And if you don't know what they are motivated by, this is a good conversation to have at that time. Plan methods for providing knowledge of results and positive reinforcement. We work hard. We want to meet expectations. And if we are meeting them, we need to know that that's the case very specifically. And if we're not meeting them, we need to know that very specifically so we know what we need to change. Influence individual behavior by giving knowledge of results soon after the results are known. That means that we're doing some kind of monitoring. We're not talking about micromanaging, where you're on top of the employee every step of the way and telling them what to do or what not to do. But what we mean here is that you have monitored, you know that that employee has met expectations or hasn't, and is told about that immediately or very soon. We're not talking about holding that back until a year-long evaluation meeting when it's too late for the employee to have changed behavior or to have continued to do what is expected. Recognize that continual criticism may eliminate not only the behavior being criticized, but also other related and desired behaviors. Avoid continual criticism. If we're going to give feedback and knowledge of results, let's make it constructive and useful. The whole point is to build employees up and help them feel successful and be successful. The idea is not to tear them down. That does no one any good. Try to consistently assess the best time, place, and approach to use when communicating with others to preserve their dignity, encourage, not destroy, and inspire trust, not fear. So if an employee is not performing satisfactorily, we want to meet in some neutral place, and we want to plan how we're going to approach it so the employee knows that we value their contributions and we want them to be successful, and we only take time with people we care about. And so that's why we're taking time now to talk about what needs to be fixed and how to go about that. It doesn't do anyone any good if you just say, well, you're not performing up to snuff, and you leave it at that, because the employee is doing the best they can. They need to know what your expectations are specifically, and they may need help coming up with how to meet those expectations. And that's a coaching conversation. Seek to understand others as well as to help them understand you. Here, it's useful when you're sitting down with an employee to share your own experience. If you've had troubles meeting expectations and then were able to successfully rise above them and meet those expectations, it's helpful for the employee to know you've been in the same boat, you understand. So the question is, have you created a motivational environment? And as I'm going through this list, please answer honestly. Do your employees know what is expected of them at work? Have you been clear? Do your employees have the materials and equipment they need to do their work? Because as a manager, that's one of your responsibilities. Do your employees have the opportunity to do what they do best every day at work? And if they don't, how can you help them do that? If you have someone who does their best work in customer-facing positions, but they're not in a customer-facing position, how can you help them move into that kind of position or take some special extra assignments that will give them an opportunity to fulfill that need? Do your employees feel respected? Are you listening to them? Are you asking them how things are going and what you can do to help them? Are you treating them with respect as an adult to an adult? Do your employees have adequate autonomy? Do they have sufficient decision-making authority so that they can perform their job effectively? In our delegation series, we talked about different degrees of decision-making authority, from one where the employee can make all the decisions, you don't need to know about it, you hired them to do that job and you trust that they're doing it well, to where you just need their input in terms of facts or figures or observations, but you don't need their recommendations because you alone can make that decision. And there's a gradation between those. Do you give your employees constructive and timely feedback? Do you allow your employees to make mistakes and learn from them? The first time we do anything, we are much more likely to make a mistake, and it's how we learn from those mistakes and grow from what we have learned that helps us to be effective. If you have employees who are never making mistakes, then they are never stepping out of their safety zone, and they're never going to innovate and try new things and be open to new things. In the last 7 days, have you recognized or praised your employees for doing good work? Again, they need to hear that. And even if you have very self-directed, very self-contained people, it's still all right. They still need affirmation. Do you show your employees that you care about them as persons? I had a wonderful boss who knew about people's families, would come by every day to just say hello or follow up on how was your child's sports event, or is your mother feeling better? If you have many, many employees, I realize that's hard to do every day. But do you take an interest into who they are as a person? Because they're not just a cog in a wheel. They are an individual who has a life that they're living. Do you encourage your employees' development? There are a number of studies that say that many employees leave employment because they are not given an opportunity to grow and develop. And I think that's going to happen more and more as we have younger generations in the workforce. So are you talking about developmental opportunities? And there are so many ways that an employee can be encouraged to develop, from classes to shadowing someone, representing you at a meeting. Talk to them about where they'd like to be. There may be some employees who are perfectly happy doing what they're doing, and they have no aspirations for something more. But you probably have a number of employees who do want to develop and grow. Do you make sure that your employees are sufficiently informed? It can be hard to recognize that what you know and what you've thought about and what you've talked about with other managers or other personnel may not have been shared with your employee. And when an employee doesn't have context, what you want them to do and why that's important, what the context is, it's very hard for an employee to make decisions. Do you give your employees opportunities to offer input on decisions? Do your employees feel that their opinions seem to count? Because we are not talking about asking for input and totally ignoring it because a decision has already been made. You do that once or twice and your employees are going to shut down completely. We want them to feel that what they have to offer is going to be considered, is a viable option. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything that an employee suggests that you do, but you do need to show that you've given it careful consideration. Does the mission or purpose of your unit make your employees feel that their jobs are important? In an earlier session, I talked about a group of people going through an assembly line at Janesville for Parker Penn, and how they talked to everyone who was working at their stations to find out what they were doing. And they got to a woman who was seated at a bench and had two boxes, one with pens and one with the little clips that go on the pens. And they assumed that she would tell them, I just put the clips on the pens. And her response to, what are you doing, was to say, I'm responsible for the image of Parker Penn. Because if these clips aren't shined and they aren't on exactly straight, when the person puts it in their lapel pocket, it's going to give a bad image. I'm responsible for the image of Parker Penn. So have you done anything to help your employees feel that they're part of something larger and that what they do has value? Are all your employees committed to doing quality work? Because if they aren't, if they have retired on the job, if they're a quiet quitter, you know that you've got a problem and you have not created a motivational environment. Do your employees feel connected to others in your organization? We want a team. We want them to collaborate with others. We don't want silos in an organization. So what have you done so that they feel connected, that they see what they do affects what's happening downstream and what people above them do that affects them? In the last 6 months, have you talked to your employees about their progress? Please don't wait to the end of the year. In the past year, have your employees had opportunities at work to learn and grow? Hopefully, you've answered yes to all of these questions, but if you haven't, please reconsider them. And if you would like help creating a motivational environment, let's talk. My calendar link is here, and you also have the QR code that will take you directly to my calendar link. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. I see we have comments. Be curious about others have helped me during the way. I put all people in the position they are best suited for with the intention to help them progress in their career. That's a wonderful thing. If you're able to say that, that's fantastic. And they're very lucky to have you. Not next week, but on January 7th, we will begin looking at team building. We're going to first look at team elements, team stages, team interventions, how to overcome the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and finally, what it takes to have a high-performing team. So I hope that you will join me on January 7th when we begin our team building series. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Well, I would end the stream. Thank you so much for coming and participating in our discussion of what managers need to know. You can find the videos of this and previous sessions on my YouTube channel or under events on my LinkedIn profile. I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Oh, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Yeah. Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost.